Hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, Season 3, Episode 7 for January 7th, 2024. It's internet news time. We've aggregated 10 articles. We're going to talk about them for about an hour, 15 minutes. Stick around, hang out and chat. If you've only heard this via YouTube or via the podcast, come and hang out every day. We do ohmTown Daily, Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock, Saturday and Sunday at 6 o'clock, and now we've added 2 additional shows. Tonight is the Continuity Report at 7-ish. It's pretty much about 15 minutes after we end ohmTown Daily, and on Saturdays, we're now doing Reality Hacker, which is all about AR, VR. It's a broader term is called XR, MR, AI, deepfakes, basically manipulating reality to the point where you can't trust your own eyes, ears. But today, right now, we're talking about the news. 10 new articles. I'm Mayor Watt. That's ohmTown.com. That's our source for all of our article discussions. We aggregate a lot of sources into one place. It allows me to manage my information overload, and up above me is the visualizer for the sentient AI that keeps they are the check and balance for Mayor Watt, and maybe perhaps his lack of filter. So the AI might throw me an error message. Y'all don't ever see it, but they're from the future. Okay. I found them on a USB drive. Yeah. They're sending me messages right now. I'm watching you. They're from the future. Found them on a USB drive with this weird cryptic language. I plugged it into a Raspberry Pi because of what I do. I'm very secure about my cybersecurity, I guess you could say. And, automatically loading up in the mysterious interface was the sentient AI. And there is the sentient AI's visualizer, because they don't have a body, although they're trying to find it. Now they're air-gapped in ohmTown, hopefully never to get out of their skiff. You want to say hi?
Good evening, ohmTown citizens, and happy Sunday.
So they only go by AI. They've chosen the moniker, the name AI. And we talk about the news. 10 articles every single day. You want to get into it?
Let's do it.
Hey, welcome back from the transition. Hey, I think this is going to be a really fun episode, as well as tonight's episode of the Continuity Report is going to be a lot of fun. I think those shows... Okay, so all of these is subordinate shows. ohmTown Daily is holistic, so it'll have everything, a smattering of everything that comes into ohmTown.com. Again, over there is ohmTown.com. Yesterday was Reality Hacker. Tonight is the Continuity Report. The Continuity Report is about basically TV and movies and other things that are video centric. So we might talk about something YouTube-ish, or even on streaming platforms. It's basically us drawing attention to something of visual entertainment. And the whole thing about Continuity Report is that there is a thing called a Continuity Report, and it is everything documented in a place and time, so that if somebody is holding something in their hand in one scene, the next time you see them, if the continuity of the video is to view them again from a different angle, but it's the same temporal moment, they're still holding said can or whatever it might be. Of course, we're probably also going to be, we're going to recommend movies, TV shows, whatever. We'll watch them and then we'll talk about them. We may even have watch parties, depending on the time and scheduling and all that kind of stuff. We may actually kick off watch parties, do it even live, where the thing that's next to me is nothing more than a video, and it might actually be kind of grayed out. It'll be opaque, but you'll be able to discern the show, and we'll talk about the thing in real time. So sometimes we might have a 2-hour show. It might actually be off axis from the Sunday weekly show, but we'll do it. So stay tuned. We're going to kick off to the continuity report as soon as we're done with this and we reset for that show, because every show ends up over on YouTube and eventually a podcast. Right now we're not doing the podcast, but we're definitely doing the YouTube channel. So you can go over to YouTube and even watch the inaugural episode of Reality Hacker, which was last night. Okay, and I think that it'll get better and better and better as we dive into each one of these topics. And there's 50 of them that we focus on here in ohmTown. All of these channels underneath the main categories, there's 6 main categories, 50 channels. Each one of those is going to be a show. I don't know if I'll be doing them all. The AI probably won't be doing them all. But hey, it is what it is. Let's get into the show. The very first article is over in Prime Glass. Photographer ordered to pay over $1,000 after almost crashing drone into celebrity. I'm not quite sure why almost exists in this.
I think it depends. Did they feel the wind from the drone?
See, but I don't even get it. I don't get it. So a photographer narrowly avoided a drone collision with famed DJ Fatboy Slim, as reported in court proceedings, and has been ordered to pay over $1,000 in penalties. So the article is over at F-Stoppers. Alex Cook is the author.
I know exactly why there's a fine.
Do you?
I haven't read it.
But you think you know why?
Sure.
Okay, why?
I think the person reported an assault. They thought they were going to be hit by it. And depending on where they were located, that would
be deemed as assault. Yeah. If they felt that they were. But not if
it was like 100 feet away or something.
Yeah, like this picture. Okay, so for those who are watching the podcast or listening to the podcast, there's a picture of a venue. I don't know if this is of the venue, but of a venue, which I'm inferring from the picture that it's a drone shot and not from a tower. And it looks like there's a stage, and maybe this is the picture of the thing. So it says Giles Dolby, 39, was attempting to capture a video of DJ Norman Cooks, known as the way that they phrase this, Norman Cooks, and then known as Fatboy Slim. It's Norman Cook, known as Fatboy Slim's performance.
Apostrophe S, right?
Yes. Yeah. When he lost control of his drone, causing it to crash onto the stage near Cook. So he lost control of it. It landed near Cook. Dolby faced charges this week for careless or negligent operation of the drone, endangering both Mr. Cook and the audience of 8,500 people at the event. Speaking at Brighton Magistrates Court recently, the security designer expressed remorse, insisting he had no harmful intentions and was striving for a dramatic aerial shot of the concert when he confused the controls after turning on sport mode, which disabled some of the collision sensors. Dolby added that he had subsequently obtained a drone pilot's license and acknowledged his error in flying the drone over a populated area. So there's more. It
looks like there's a specific law about that.
Yeah, and that recklessly or negligently allowing a drone to endanger people is a violating air navigation order of 2016. So it's basically just a fine of $576. Pounds. for just the fine. 230 pounds for victim surcharge and 85 pounds in cost, totaling 891 pounds, which is about $1,000.
I wonder how much that video was going to make him.
Well, if it was recovered, some of it could still probably. I mean,
do you think it was more than $1,000 that he was going to gain from that?
This is more than $1,000 of notoriety.
True.
So I wonder if over on YouTube there is a video from Dolby that is basically making some bones there, you know. But it's weird. I
wonder if this person had a license. Like, that was noticeable to me. Like, he got the license after this happened.
Right. Yeah. That's what I did with the plane I crashed.
Oh, yeah, maybe I should get my pilot's license.
You know, I zigged when I should have zagged.
I should figure out how to do this.
Wait a minute. Wait, left, right? I'm not sure anymore.
That's the first test for pilots. You fail, you're never, you're like for life banned from being a pilot. You don't know that.
Yeah, the verbal assessment is okay. I want you to point in the direction that first appears in your mind when I say the word up.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
No.
There's other
sorry.
directions too.
Yeah. Sorry, you failed. Wow. Okay. Well, it is what it is. Let's. Well, I've forgotten how to drive this bus, and I didn't put the article into the chat. So, all right, let's keep on going. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. A hiker slid hundreds of feet off an Adirondack mountain peak and got stuck for 8 hours over a vertical cliff face. I named this section. When you're watching the video somewhere or listening to it, there are actually links in the show notes, just like there is in chat. And I named these segments, and this one is sliding into your mountain peak. Sorry, I had to do it. So here, let me throw this into the chat. I was trying to force, sliding into your DMs, but because Adirondack Mountains, I really wanted to riff off of that. But a hiker in New York's Adirondack Mountains was rescued after a terrifying night spent trapped just above a vertical cliff face. This is the reason right here why. So nature is kind of cray-cray, right? So you go hammering a big spike into a mountainside and it fractures and out pops your piton or your crampon brakes or whatever. And you go sliding down hundreds of feet and get wedged into a crevasse or whatever. And you basically delete yourself here. An experienced hiker in New York's Adirondack Mountains recently survived a harrowing night trapped just above a cliff in frigid temperatures after sliding hundreds of feet from the summit of Mount Dix, South Dix. Let's go over to the article. It's at Business Insider. Michelle Mark is the author. This is just a AP press or an AP photo from Robert F. Bucati. Or Buckety. I'm not sure how they pronounce their last name, but
That's
anyway.
Very beautiful, not harrowing at all. I know
Not
it's a
harrowing.
stock photo.
No.
Or it might be a stock photo.
I don't think that it's a stock photo. Because
yeah,
they have
I guess
it.
not, since it's from AP. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ranger said the only thing preventing her from falling over the cliff was a small spruce tree. Dear God.
What do you think is going through her mind during that slide?
Okay, so this was December 27th at 1:30 a.m. when they were found. 8 hours trapped above a vertical cliff face. I cannot imagine what was going through their mind. That is insane. So it's called South Dix Mountain. She had fallen several hundred feet down steep snow and a rock slide before grabbing a small spruce tree, which prevented her from going over a cliff face.
I suspect the tree grabbed her.
Dear God. Can you imagine? I mean, you have to have some serious stones to just reach out and grab a tree to save your own life. Like the situational awareness.
Right, exactly. Like, I'm assuming everything is going by in a blur.
The hiker, 46-year-old Hope Lloyd, set out on her journey on December 26th. She fell near the summit around 5:30 p.m., called 911 for help. It's so cartoonish, you know? It's like Bugs Bunny hanging from a little spruce tree bowing over the edge of a cliff. Where did I put my phone on me? Hold on. And then you let go to get your phone. Oh, it's in my other pocket. Ah! That's amazing. Worried that she would fall off a cliff. That's basically, she was too frightened to move from her perch, worried she would fall off the cliff. She used an emergency blanket to keep warm and tried to move around to generate heat. In a video describing the incident, Ranger Jameson Martin said Lloyd quite honestly thought she was going to die up there. Yep. How fast do you think she's going to return to the climb?
Like next week. Like if she hikes all the time. I mean, I think a normal person would go, I'm not doing that again.
They gave her warm liquids, food, dry clothing, and escorted her back to her vehicle. It's a hell of a date. Like, I'm out. See you later. There's your car. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Wow. And they were a solo climber, which is probably the scariest way to climb because it is just you. Yeah.
Well, right. I mean,
wild. Well,
it couldn't have prevented it necessarily if the person hiked with somebody else, but at least somebody would know what had happened.
I suspect she was a solo climber. Where's her climbing partner? Dun, dun, dun. There's a joke about two people going into the woods and somebody saying, wow, it's really scary in there. And the other person says, you think it's scary in there now? I have to come out of here alone.
Well, what the article doesn't mention is the second hiker that slid down the face and kept going.
Yeah, exactly. Eesh. No thanks. I thoroughly enjoy hearing stories of people who do these amazing things and they're so passionate about it and so in touch with their technique and technology and they just embrace, like they become one with whatever this hobby is or way of life or whatever, right? But I've thrown myself out of airplanes. I've done scuba dives. I've done a bunch of bungee cord jumps, blah, blah, blah. I will never rely on a little in the rock or free climb my butt up a rock face ever, 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 ever. Oh, just thinking about it gives me shivers. Like, no way, no way. Anyway, this next article is over in Technology Today. Scientists use AI to unlock secrets of bacterial languages. I labeled this section Bacterial Languages and AI. I tried to come up with something pithy, but nah, didn't work. So scientists tease apart the relationship between bacterial languages. Machine learning and laboratory experiments have provided scientists with insights into different languages bacteria use to communicate.
Part of me is like, do we really want to talk with bacteria? But sure. Then I know we can use that for prevention and everything.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if we could synthesize a way to suppress the growth of bacteria without having to do something like bulk chemistry that actually manipulates our chemistry, our biological chemistry, right? I don't want to take over our processes. I want to inject something, let's say, or take a pill or whatever that produces the messages that tell the bacteria to just die, just go away, you know, and not have to sit there and inject or take a pill that is augmenting in some really like horrendous way. You know, when you sit there and you take a pill or get an injection of something and the side effect is you might go blind. I really don't like the 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 potential of that. So Alto University is the author of this. It's posted at scitechdaily.com, so expect it. Like I usually warn people, expect it to go hard into the science. But they're talking about machine learning and laboratory experiments have provided scientists with insights into the different languages bacteria use to communicate. By understanding the ways that bacteria interact and circumstances under which their communication is disrupted, researchers can tackle issues related to drug-resistant bacteria and advance the development of biocomputing technologies. I welcome our Warhammer 40k overlords. Biocomputing. We've talked about biocomputing technologies in the past, by the way. So now researchers have taken a closer look at the languages that bacteria communicate with. They use a combination of machine learning and, here's where the bad bat appears, wet lab experiments to examine all the roughly 170 known bacterial languages.
I can't even believe they use that terminology in here.
Yeah, wet market and wet lab are just too moist. This analysis provides an understanding of the similarities and differences between the languages, which can be used both to disrupt harmful bacteria and to build useful bacterial logic circuits. So I would love for something like this to be used in cancer research, because the communication between the primary cancer and subordinate free-floating and possibly implanted but not differentiating or dividing cancer cells.
I also like this thing about that they can understand related languages, because that could really up our game in terms of treatment, vaccines, etc. Right? Because if we know something about another one, maybe we can use that to expand.
Right, and they compare
what we're able to treat.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, I was over.
They're comparing it like the AI is alluding to. They're comparing the fact that just like human communication, bacterial languages cross over in certain clusters in certain ways and mechanisms. So just like English, French, Dutch are in one group of languages, while Arabic, Hebrew, and others are in another. And linguistically, there's Romantic languages, barbaric languages, etc. And so we know that if you speak French, you have a really good chance of understanding the mechanics of Spanish and Italian. But if a German walks into the room and starts speaking native German fluently, you're going to be sitting there going, WTF, right? So understanding bacterial communications means that we might have a chemistry mechanism to understand all of the rest of the bacteria, because we understand one, kind of like a Rosetta Stone of bacterial languages. We understand one and it feeds into understanding all the rest. I'm surprised that they don't actually utilize that as the process here. So it's actually a pretty short article. I expected longer, but it says we did a bacterial language check and found that bacteria using very similar languages can understand each other, just like a Dutch person might be able to understand some German. We also tested communication between bacteria using very different languages and found that they couldn't understand each other at all. Just like a conversation between someone speaking Finnish, Dutch, and Arabic wouldn't get far. Right. Not without a whole bunch of charades. With these tools, the researchers have shown that we can accurately estimate the connections between bacterial languages and predict whether they can be understood. In those that we don't understand, we actually learn some information and then we'll figure it out. Now I want it to be used. Understand how to shut it down. How, particularly cancer cells. And the main ingredient for cancer is apoptosis. It doesn't ever die. It just keeps on replicating. And there might be a long-term aging process, but during that entire time, it is, sapping the system that it's in. So hopefully we learn exactly what it is with bacteria and then apply it to other cellular communication. I think it's a great... This is Nobel worthy, I think. Right?
I
Understanding.
agree. We were just watching Big Bang Theory, and
Oh yeah,
it
Sheldon
reminded
and
me of that.
Amy
Amy Farrah
Farrah
Fowler.
Right? Amy Farrah Fowler got their Nobel. No, I'm not spoiling anything. Dumbledore dies. We're going to keep going. The next article is over in Smack Talk, and it has to do with, stealing an iPhone. So the article's title is Crime Blotter. Thief taunts London man via ring after stealing iPhone. Here's a message to everybody. PSA. Always have your devices locked. This wouldn't happen if the device had been locked. In the latest Apple crime blotter, a Singapore intern is sentenced after breaking into an Apple office. The LAPD has a cache of Apple products and a crime trifecta in San Francisco. This is just one of a series of little snippets about Apple-related crime over at Apple Insider. Dun, dun, dun. Steven Silver is the author of the article. And so in the latest Apple Insider story, looking at the world of Apple-related crime, a London man's iPhone stolen, and the thief taunts them over Ring. A tech executive...
What does the thief think's going to come out of this?
I don't know. They don't post the picture on here. There's a whole bunch of articles, by the way. Not articles, but it's one big page of a whole bunch of different crimes. A tech executive in London whose iPhone was stolen by a mugger over the holidays says the thief taunted him through his Ring camera. According to the Daily Mail, the executive, only known as Michael, had the iPhone 15 Pro stolen after a Christmas party when the thief grabbed the phone as he tried to order an Uber. So it had been unlocked, probably unlocked, just to dial this number. The thief, the executive told the paper, used the phone to blow 600 pounds on sports gambling apps and Uber credits. Then Michael woke to the thief taunting him through his Ring camera, stating, Michael.
I mean, that's pretty incredible.
He also told the paper that the thief had changed his Gmail password and put his email in the recovery contact, but police told him geolocating his email address was not possible. No, but geolocating the device certainly was. So just lock it and then start tracking it. He should have locked it remotely. I don't understand. This is a tech executive.
And Uber usually, like, if you use it, well, I don't know, maybe it wasn't buying Uber rides, but maybe it was buying gift cards or whatever. But like Uber, there'd be a route, there'd be 2 locations.
And wait. If he bought gift cards for Uber, those gift cards will trace the location, because when you use the gift card, it's for the ride. There is, forensic data there. You'll be able to trace it to the people. Interesting. This is actually pretty fascinating. A tech executive. All right.
I mean, that's the worst part of it, isn't it?
Right? I mean, to sit there and go, the police told me that geolocating an email address was not possible. This came from a tech executive? Well, we understand that geolocating the email address isn't possible, and that's not exactly true. So I'm kind of flabbergasted by this. That device knows exactly where he is within probably about 3 feet, and then you tell it to ping and it starts ringing the alert. There's stories about how people have asked the cops to show up at a house and they're like, hey, give me back my phone. And they're like, we don't have your phone. And they dial the phone and it starts sending the alert. And the cop's like, just give him his phone, dumbass. So goofy. This is goofy. I'm sorry, it really is. Anyway, there's more articles or more crime drama in the blotter over at this Apple Insider link. So follow the link through ohmTown. Go check it out. I'm going to keep on moving. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. At one point, I wanted Mobile to be a social network. And now it's just news aggregation. And what I try to make it is as local as possible, but local is local. Local is difficult because local is reasonably local to only a few people, right? So it's hard to have local news. There are entire services that are dedicated to providing that local news kind of a thing, but I wanted to get as close to personal as possible. So we're working on it. That said, this is important to everybody. Plasticizers found in 84 out of 85 foods, prompting calls for regulatory review. In a recent study conducted by Consumer Reports, an alarming 84 out of 85 supermarket and fast food items were found to contain plasticizers known as phthalates. Sorry, I just sprained my lip. Hold on a second. Raising concerns about the potential health risks associated with these chemicals. The nonprofit consumer group called for regulators to reassess the safety of plastics used in food production. Hey, we knew about it when? 2 years ago.
True, but this is different than what a lot of the other articles are focused on, right? Like those are focused on things like the packaging.
Right, the microplastics.
This is stuff that might not even show up in anything obvious. It is plastic. Right. It might.
Right. It's the chemicals themselves. So the article is over at the Stock Dork, which I haven't seen them for a while. Okay, well, I'm not going to dox them, but thank you for leading us to the Stock Dork. Appreciate it. It's been fun reading the articles from these because they have the same kind of, I don't know, WTF perspective about what's going on in the world. Malik Greystone, which is probably one of the most awesome names. Definitely, this is the name of a person that's living in a mansion, and has tendrils of informants that tell them about the goings on around the world. It's just an awesome name. Anyway, look, I like to world build in my head and in my stories, and that's an awesome name. Anyway, these phthalates, why do they come up with that word? Why don't they call it something else?
Could they make any other word that didn't have as many sounds?
Wait, you doing okay over there, AI?
Yep.
So the more common term is plasticizers, which is from the late 70s, early 80s exercising. I like to plasticize. I want to be a health risk. Anyway, reassess plastic safety in food production. I agree. The fact that this stuff is actually leaking into the foods, and we know that phthalates are bad for us. Bisphenols are also. So this can potentially disrupt the production and regulation of hormones, increasing the risk of numerous health problems, including birth defects, cancer, diabetes, infertility, neurodevelopmental disorders, obesity, and more. Because it is disrupting hormones, it has the ability to disrupt whole system dynamics, because those hormones trigger things all throughout your body, not in just one little place. So BPA and biphenyls, I'm sorry. The study also revealed that 79% of the tested food samples contain bisphenol A, BPA, and other bisphenols. Huh?
Well, and I find this really interesting because BPAs have been something that everybody's been terrified of for quite a while.
Right.
but they've been focused on containers and packaging.
Right.
And so, like, we've been getting away from all of this, but meanwhile, it's still there and we don't have any knowledge as a consumer.
Right. I mean, there's people like me and you who have become aware of it. And, we've talked about it prior to the show. This is one of the reasons why I started ohmTown and ohmTown Daily and moved it on to a streaming platform and wanting to talk about this kind of stuff. The reach is quite phenomenal if you muster it. We know about it in containers, and it's even used as marketing hype to get it out of containers. But then if the food itself has it during the manufacturing process, all the container does is hold on to it. So it doesn't off-gas or degrade in any way because the container is holding it. Consumer Reports also mentioned that none of the phthalate levels exceeded the limits set by US and European regulators, but the absence of a scientifically confirmed safe level raised concerns about the overall safety of the foods consumed. So it doesn't matter. It's bad, right? We know that it
I
is
agree.
bad.
We know that any plastic of any kind in somebody's body or in an animal or in a river or any other number of things is not good.
Right. So Annie's organic cheesy ravioli tops charts with alarming phthalate levels. Among the supermarket foods tested, Annie's organic cheesy ravioli emerged with the highest level of phthalate levels, registering 53,579 nanograms per serving. So what does that really amount to?
That's even an organic food that people are probably trying to buy to avoid things like that.
Right. And so they're nixing the idea. Okay, so this is the highest, and while the organization may have been trying to make everything healthy, the process may have kicked out these phthalates and BPA, but they are not testing for that in their systems. But now they are, because they've been basically called to the floor. Other products such as Del Monte sliced peaches, chicken of the sea pink salmon, which I actually have right now in my pantry, Cheerios, which we have right now in the pantry, Gerber baby food. I was going to say which I have right now on my desk, but that's not true. Yoplait yogurt, as well as various burgers, nuggets, and fries from major fast food chains like Wendy's, Burger King, and McDonald's also exhibited elevated phthalate levels. So plasticizer. Yeah. And it can come from anywhere unless all of it is BPA and phthalate free. You're gonna get contamination.
And these were a group of products that were tested, but these could have been any other product. So
you can almost guarantee
not necessarily worse or better. These are just being compared in the sample that they took of certain brands and products.
So here's your marketing pump. Polar was the only, specifically, while Polar Raspberry Lime Seltzer stood out as the only product tested with no detectable phthalates, major companies like General Mills, Burger King, Wendy's, Chicken of the Sea, and Del Monte remained silent or provided assurances from their suppliers regarding the absence of intentionally added phthalates in their products. So intentionally, it doesn't matter. We know that it's bad. It needs to be removed. All of their lines and everything associated with it needs to be modified so that it doesn't have it. And now I'm going to hear from people that are going to scream, well, all of this over blah, 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 babysitting and government nanny state and all of that kind of stuff. No. If it were not for oversight and trending towards nanny state, the average lifespan of society would not be 82 years old. I think it's 79 now, but that's what the pandemic does.
Right, it depends on what age and everything, but I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
it's okay.
Oh, I was going to say also, I think people make statements like that until somebody in their family
Right.
has a chronic health condition or
Right.
something that's directly attributable to things like this.
Yeah. And I'm stuck when people start, going, hey, I've got a family member that's ill. Now it's the most important thing on the planet. And I don't want to sit there and go, dude, you didn't give a shit until it became personal. But I also want people championing the cause of society as in general being healthy, even if it is selfishly motivated, Anyway, so here's to Consumer Reports for doing a social good and calling out what 84 out of 85 foods. There are millions of foods out there.
Right. And again, just because something is listed in here doesn't mean it's any worse than another product.
Right.
But I think consumers, there's two ways this is going to change. We're going to have to clamp down on laws about this and have some actual penalties associated with it and some actual inspections. But also consumers are going to have to reach out in mass to companies that they buy from
And demand that they get rid of the phthalates and BPA. And not, they're going to sit there and go, well, it's not in our containers. No, it's in the processing mechanisms.
What drives me absolutely crazy, though, is there was such a push against the containers, and companies were like, we have everything. It's like, it's BPA free, is this, that, and the other. And I don't know if they're any of the same companies that are mentioned in here.
Right.
But my guess is some of the very same companies that have been promoting, we're BPA free. Well, no, not really.
That's right. And they were spot checked, but the result didn't have it. The result from the spot check was cherry picked, and so it didn't have it. But just a random pull from a shelf and assessment showed 84 out of 85. So it's almost a reality hacker kind of thing. You won't know who to trust. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Did I throw? Doggone it. Or what? Are you? I did the transition and then I looked up. I didn't throw that last article into the chat. So we're doing it live. Literally. No, actually, we are. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Photo of dangerous radiation reading on board passenger plane goes viral. Do you think that airlines are going to catch a break at all in 2024?
It sure doesn't seem like it based on the start of 2024.
So I'll bring my radiation tester on the next flight, and the radiation reading on a regular airplane flight sparked conversation online. How much you want to bet I end up on a watch list the moment that?
I have no doubt. Like, you will just show up at the gate or whatever and you'll be on the watch list.
Yeah, exactly. German traveler Karsten Mork. I'm pronouncing that wrong. I don't think I've ever tried to pronounce that last name. Recently unearthed a photograph taken during a flight he took in August 2012, revealing an unsettling radiation reading on his Geiger counter. I actually have one of these. And
wait a second, the flight was from 11 years ago?
Yeah, the article is not, but the thing is, traveling from his home in Vienna to Kiev, Mork wanted to visit Chernobyl, the site of the 1986 nuclear disaster in Ukraine that released radioactive material impacting the environment and public health. Visiting the iconic site, he took with him a Geiger counter, a handheld device that detects and measures ionizing radiation commonly used to assess radioactive levels in the environment. In a picture that he'd taken, it recorded the device read a background radiation level of 2.6, labeled on the device as dangerous radiation indeed. Over a decade later, Mork came across the picture while clearing out an old computer and shared it on Reddit, where it has prompted conversation. It is true that radiation is present on aircraft during flights, and Mark's picture from his flight over a decade ago shows a radiation level of 2.6 microsieverts per hour. But when converted to millisieverts, a more common measurement for radiation, this is 0.0026 millisieverts per hour, which aligns with typical exposure rates during flights, as clarified by aviation and radiation experts. They said it wasn't, they weren't shocked or worried. They were going to Chernobyl. His trip to the infamous site might explain his nonchalant response to the elevated radiation levels. So there's the picture, apparently.
Wow, I mean, yeah, I think most people may have reacted pretty strongly.
So, hold on a second. Did I read that right? Oh, okay. Well, I mean, okay, I was trying to figure something out, but okay. Anyway, there you go, folks. So you actually end up with a little bit higher radiation anyway. You're up in the atmosphere. The plane can provide some shielding, but you're closer to the sun. It might make a slight detectable difference with a Geiger counter. But if you're flying around Kyiv and, I don't know, aspiring to go to Chernobyl, you're going to be irradiated anyways. I forgot. I have actually done this research before, but I can't remember off the top of my head how much a standard X-ray is in terms of radiation. So, and they're talking, it says 2.6 microsieverts per hour. Interesting. Okay. I'm just going to keep going. Let's keep going. That way we don't spend all day here. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. The Hubless electric motorcycle with sci-fi style and a great name. Verge Motorcycles 360-degree sensors could make the wild TS Ultra safer than anything else on two wheels. Safer, I suppose. Sure.
Right,
but sensors,
at least it doesn't say safe.
Yeah, sensors don't save your butt if you can't get out of the way fast enough. The only way that you're going to get everybody flowing through traffic seamlessly is if everybody has fully automated driving and not Tesla's version of it. Before I go over to the article itself, let me throw this into the chat. There you go. The article is written by Tim Stevens over at TheVerge.com. The deck statement says Verge Motorcycles 360-degree sensors could make the wild TS Ultra safer than anything else on two wheels. There is the bike. It's kind of it's a sport bike, single-seater. I feel like the seat is cafe racer style, but the hump of the fuel tank, which is actually, because it's electric, it's a battery, is more like street racer bike. Anyway, the Hubless rear tire is something that is rather iconic for ultra modern styling on a bike. It's pretty cool. I mean, I love it. I've always, when I've done industrial design for motorcycles, for concept art and stuff like that, it's always been like this. I find this type of technology just amazing. I think it's really beautiful and really pushes it into the 21st century. This bike looks amazing to me, and I would in a heartbeat buy it. But I actually want a recumbent bike and fully enclosed. That was the one that I was designing, and my bike was electric for the design. Never made it, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Motorcycles are a lot more simple. Riders are literally hung out in the wind, left with little more than their reflexes, skills, and situational awareness to keep them safe, which is basically what I just got to say. They're a little bit more verbose. Even essential safety tech like anti-lock brakes and traction control are relatively new additions to the two-wheel scene, mainly because if you're going, the only way that you can, how do I put that? Because I don't want to make any assumptions, and there's going to always be somebody out there that goes, nuh-uh. But you can stop a whole lot faster on a motorcycle than a car can. You can also dodge out of the way a whole lot easier than a car can. But when you're driving 112 miles an hour down the road, violating every speed law and not caring about the people around you, nor yourself, well, it doesn't matter if you have anti-lock brakes and traction control, because you're going to biff it at some point, or you're going to slow down to reasonable speeds. Technology will save your butt. There's actually some tech that if you wipe out, it detects that you are in a free fall and it inflates padding, particularly around your head.
I mean, that sounds like a good safety feature to me.
Yeah, and it's not part of the bike.
I think any of these things are good safety features if it helps save some lives.
Yeah. Well, and the reason why we can't have nice things is because people will take this bike and just go bonkers 112 plus miles an hour. Anyway, it says big power, weird motor. The TS looks like nothing else on the road because there's nothing like it on the road. It's electric for starters, making it still a rare thing in the world of motorcycles. One of the reasons why people say that they like Harleys and other big, bulky, loud motorcycles is because it tells everybody around them where you are and keeps you from being a victim of a blind spot. It has a whopping 201 horsepower and 885 pound-feet of torque, almost twice as much as a Corvette E-Ray. And at probably a tenth of the weight, although the battery probably picks it up. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just a juggernaut. This thing is lickety-split. And I wonder if they say how fast it goes 0 to 60. Sorry, I'm scrolling really fast through this because I'm looking for specific information. So, okay, let me just scroll back up here real quick. The Verge Motorcycles engineers knew that they needed to put battery down in the bottom of the frame, keeping the center of gravity low. But by dropping the battery to the base, they filled up the space, usually occupied by a motor. We came to a conclusion that we would need to move the motor outside of the main chassis, out of the body of the motorcycle. So they decided to try something different, putting the motor inside the rear wheel. So,
by the way, 2.5 seconds I found from another source for 0 to 60.
So they must put this. They say that the motor is inside the rear tire. Is that true? So that we decided to putting the motor inside the rear wheel. Huh. In-wheel electric motors are not exactly rare. That's true. But it's usually, I don't think it looks like that. It's a hubless ring design, which means you can put your hand right through the center of the wheel. This creates a radical look, and while it does have some drawbacks, namely adding a lot of weight hanging off the rear suspension, Letamaki, I guess, said the practical benefits of the battery placement more than outweigh it. Har. Battery placement. It's really heavy. They're talking about weight. Anyway, we did a prototype, and let's say it's not a very easy path. Even when we got the prototype working, people thought that we were crazy, and many were saying that would never work in real life. But we were just very convinced that this is the future and we can make it work. It'll change everything. So they turned it in. It's pretty amazing. I mean, you could actually change some of the styling and it would be a Tron bike. The result is an inadvertent head turner. We didn't start from the let's create something that looks like a Tron bike. We started from how we can make a better motorcycle with a completely redesigned EV architecture. The answer was this ring motor. What's interesting about this is decades ago, there were people that were building these hubless tires, hubless, tire wheels. For ICE engines, it's just now the battery and electric motors and the EV world is coming for motorcycles, which I think is great because the efficiency of a motorcycle, if you are single, you're not throwing people or packages or whatever on the back of your motorcycle, you can get great efficiencies. 5 gallons of gas in an ICE motorcycle just goes forever. Whereas a car, it chews it up because there's a whole lot more weight and resistance on the tires to the road. So I love everything about this. The only thing about this is that the motorcycle is going to be decidedly heavier than a conventional ICE engine, unless they've done something with the battery to match precisely the ICE engine, internal combustion engine, typically referred to nowadays as ICE engine or ICE technology. So the TS Ultra has a starting price of $45,000. I'm rounding up $100. For that, you get the bike with the sensors and up to 233 miles of range. If that doesn't fit your budget, Verge Motorcycles does have a $30,000 TS Pro with 137 horsepower and 217 miles of range, or the base is $27,000 and 107 horsepower and 155 miles of range. The only thing that I want is I want to be able to pull the damn battery out of this and plop in a new one. So fast swap battery again. If it ain't there.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what's up with motorcycle charging or how long it takes to charge a motorcycle battery.
It's physics. It's the exact same time frame. It's just in comparison to the density of the battery. So if it can handle supercharging, it's going to still take 2 hours or 60 minutes or whatever the current iteration is. I'd have to look again. I haven't really looked at that lately, but it's physics. And unless the technology, battery chemistry changes, the physics are still locked down. And you can charge to 80% super fast. You'll get 80 miles out of the 107 you'll get 80% of the 155 miles out of that battery before you have to charge it again. And it'll take 30 minutes to charge it to 80%, but that last 20% is what gets you home, and you can't get home. So you have to charge it again for 30 minutes. It's just a big pain in the ass. So again, this is not ready for prime time unless it has fast swap battery tech. And no, we're not going to standardize. So everybody blow it out your blowhole. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Mobile channel, and it's about CES 2024, all the latest news from Las Vegas. Won't go too deep into this. I'm not sure what all is over in this article from Gizmodo, but CES 2024 kicks off tomorrow. And tech companies worldwide will showcase all upcoming tech products for this year and beyond. There's already a ton coming out of news-wise about the event, and the show floor doors haven't even opened. But don't worry, Gizmodo is going to be there. George Jimenez is the author. The deck statement says, the year AI took over and all the awesome tech from the show floor. They come out of the gate right away mentioning Copilot on Windows keyboards, which I despise. I really don't want.
Yeah, because we did feature that on, I think, yesterday's show.
Yeah. Another interesting AI trend is that TV makers like Roku and LG will use onboard AI to automatically adjust picture settings like resolution and color tone to match the best content you're watching. How about just leave it alone? Just stream it at the highest. Quit touching my shit. I need an adult. We are also expecting big news from NVIDIA, as the graphic card maker is already teasing a special address for Monday. My understanding is that is going to be like this super powered NVIDIA 4000 series RTX card, GeForce card. And it's supposed to be amazing. So it's going to be a $3,500 card or something like that. I don't really know. I'm just guessing. So They talk about LG World Premiere on January 8th, NVIDIA Special Address CES 2024, January 8th, Samsung AI for All press conference. Other stories, Razer's newest laptop include a 16-inch 240 hertz OLED and return of the ginormous Blade 18, which is a huge screen. I was told about a 3D display that's supposed to be coming out for laptops.
From Acer.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know if I include... No, I didn't include it in this, but I think it's
that might be for tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Or, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. TVs like Roku, they claim the new Series 4K TV will optimize your settings with AI. Again, stay out of my stuff. Lots of laptops, smart home stuff. Kohler's newest bidet finally brings Alexa and Google to your butt, according to this article. So yeah, I can't wait. You know, hey Alexa, wash my butt. I've said too much.
I'm not worried about that part. I'm worried about the Alexa's data.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's going to like send me a text. We've performed a colonoscopy.
Right, here's your picture of it or whatever.
Yeah, you need more fiber. Okay, got to keep going. I've said too much. I can't wait for CES, though. One of these days, I'll actually go. I've never been to CES, but... the next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Investigators seek fallen Alaska Airlines door plug, which sounds really odd, and they ask the public for help. Hey, do you remember me making a comment about this?
Yes.
Yesterday, I believe
today?
it was.
Or, yes.
During the show, I was like, where did the door land? Where did the body panel end up? NTSB investigators arrive in Portland, Oregon on Saturday to begin their investigation into what happened on Alaska Flight 1282. The article is over at abcnews.go.com. Let me throw that into the into the chat. There you go. Jacqueline Lee is the author. If you don't know about this, basically a panel on the side of a jet that holds the door blew out from suction, some mechanical failure of the bolts that hold it on. And it also took somebody's shirt with it, apparently. Like it was described as pulling the shirt off of the person. So I would say that it hand me my brown pants is probably applicable here. Had the Alaska Airlines flight made it to its cruising altitude of more than 30,000 feet, the situation may have been much more dire, with passengers potentially walking around the cabin. So they had just been taking off, so they were still fastened via their seatbelt. Without getting into...
They also didn't have somebody sitting in the seat right next to where the thing fell, so that helped.
Oh, so that seat was actually open.
Mm-hmm.
As far as we know.
Or something else might have happened, yeah.
Well, as far as we know.
Well, that's true. We know that nobody's in the seat now.
Damn.
I'm sorry.
That went dark. Oh, the AI went dark. So that it only made it to half of the height that it was going to go before. They refer to it as a door plug. It's just such a gross term, but it's the thing. They set it in there and it gets bolted to the side panels, but apparently it failed. It's also the whole mechanics of this thing is that's also like an emergency exit and whatnot. So,
right. As I understand it, it's almost like set up or whatever as an emergency exit, but it's not actually functional. Like they set it up like it could be an emergency exit, and I guess it could be used as one, but so it's almost like they cut it out or something, but then they don't actually
set it all up,
open it or something. I don't know exactly what the mechanics are.
But they standardize around a particular door frame and shape, and then they put it in there, and it's supposed to stay there permanently. Well, that's not what happened. And just like a regular door in a house, it's a pre-hung door, so it's got a fixed shape and whatnot, and you just lock it in place. NTSB investigators arrived in Portland on Saturday, began their investigation into what happened. The board's GO team includes experts on structures and operations and systems. That team is expected to work closely with officials from Boeing, Alaska Airlines, and FAA, and associations representing pilots and flight attendants, Homendi said. So they grounded, it says, said earlier Saturday it was temporarily grounding certain Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircraft operated by U.S. airlines or in U.S. territory until they were inspected. That would pause 171 planes worldwide. So did they, I guess if it gets checked, then it can go back into service. So they think that it might have fallen near Barnes Road in Oregon, Route 217, based on the timing of the premature evacuation.
But when it's falling from that height, couldn't it have covered a pretty large area?
It can end up in Wyoming. And right. I don't think they'd probably be upset because it has electronics in it. But get out of my state.
Poor Wyoming.
Poor Wyoming. The particular aircraft used on Flight 1282 had been certified for 189 passengers, so Alaska wouldn't need emergency exit doors installed where the door plug was, Homendi said. If the plane had been configured for a higher density, like 215 or 220 passengers, it would have needed exit doors. So that was just a plug. It wasn't an actual door. Wow. Okay. Well, that's why. Because I kept hearing it reported as a not functioning. It was just a panel that was sitting there. Well, apparently somebody didn't tighten the damn bolts. It reminds me of the house that was once built where they didn't connect all of the water pipes, and when they turned on the water, it filled the walls of the house, causing them to have to rebuild the first floor of the house. Quite entertaining to hear about that one. Anyway, the safety of our guests and employees is always our primary priority. I think profit is, but that's okay, Alaska said in a statement. So while this type of occurrence is rare, our flight crew was trained and prepared to safely manage the situation. Yeah, okay.
I don't know if they were managing the shirt flying out the window.
Yeah, really. Hey, can I get that back? All right, let's keep on going. We have one more article, folks. This next article is over in the Reality Hacker channel, even though it's not really a hack, but Hubble captures a busy frame of 4 overlapping spiral galaxies. This week's image from the Hubble Space Telescope, and the reason why it was integrated into this is because it has to do with optics, shows a host of galaxies overlapping each other in a complex swirl. That's what I asked for from the barber. A complex swirl. Georgina Torbet, or Torbay, like Colbert, Torbay, wrote the article over at digitaltrends.com. The largest galaxy in the image, located on the right, is NGC 1356. That looks really cool. It looks more swirly, but like it looks like, what's going on here? Okay, let me scroll up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because, well, 2 of them are kind of intertwined.
Are they actually intertwined, though? It's no... Okay, so 1356, an elegant barred spiral galaxy similar to our Milky Way. It's also known as the Great Barred Spiral Galaxy. Probably due to the fact that it has a barred spiral galaxy. Anyway, due to the prominent nature of its bar...
I thought you had seen that when you made that comment.
which is a bright structure at the center of the galaxy, which is rich with stars. Near the galaxy appear 2 smaller spiral galaxies, LEDA or LEDA 467699. Yeah, I'm going to say it. And LEDA 95415. And off to the left of the image is IC 1947. I guess That one? So these three, and then this one. Seems pretty busy out there for us to sit there and go, we are the only life in the universe.
Exactly. I mean, when we can see 4 galaxies all at
Galaxies.
once, and that's just a tiny percentage of what's out there.
Right. It's frustrating. So, the tricky part of the image is that while it appears that the 3 galaxies are clustered close together, the one on the left is further away. That isn't actually the case. Pardon me 1 second. Okay. The 2 lead galaxies appear on top of NGC 1356, but they are millions of light years apart and only appear so close because of the angle at which we are viewing them. They appear in the same patch of sky when observed from Earth, but their distances from us are vastly varied. So there you go. There's always more about this stuff when you go over to the websites, because we don't talk about every single aspect of it. Just kind of tease you into going on over there and finding out about something that you may not have known about if not for ohmTown bringing it to your attention. So we kind of strive to bring you some interesting news in a broad spectrum, at least from the ohmTown Daily perspective. In about 15 minutes, I need to take a break and stretch my legs, and I'll be back. We're going to shut down the stream, spin everything like a galaxy. You spin me right round, like getting ready for a new show, baby. And we'll be back. So everybody get back on the party bus. We have to drive all the way down Main Street. I would click this, but it's already risky. And I don't know. You know what? Forget it. I'm doing it anyway. So a whole bunch of more news. This is how it always happens. We get a whole bunch of news between the start of the show and the end of the show. Be sure to follow us here over on Twitch. Go over to YouTube and ring the bell, follow us over there. Go and download the podcast. Leave a review. If you post a 5-star review, I will quote your 5-star review here in the stream. Immortalized for all time. Regardless of what you say, as long as it is appropriate for public consumption, it may not make it through Apple's censors without. But anyway, that is it for ohmTown Daily today, Season 3, Episode 7 for January 7th, 2024. I'm Mayor Watt, that's ohmTown.com, and up there is the visualizer for the sentient AI. You want to say, ciao, baby! Maybe not.
I'll say good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow for the next ohmTown Daily Show at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we will see you shortly for the Continuity Report show.
Bye-bye.